And then we move into the contract signing, AJ Daniels. So basically these two guys agree that, you know, they're going to have this match after, you know, they wrote some doubt. Do they really want to do this? They agree they're going to have the match. We see Daniels going to, you know, an explanation about they'll still be friends afterwards, and this is just a competition, and this, that, and the other. Then we see Lynn come down, we see RVD come out. That's
well, the reason behind Lynn coming out was because Daniels was talking about, you know, who built the X division, and Lynn basically comes out and says, you know, if I hear someone say I helped build the X division, I'm gonna puke. Yeah. It's the truth. I mean, since TNA's in existence, everyone's claimed to build the X division. You know, I would say 4 names helped build the X division. Jerry Lynn is at the top of that 4, is the first one. Then you had Daniels, Joe, and AJ.
Oh yeah, they were all pioneers of you know, the X division, the cruiserweight style in TNA. But like we touched on earlier in the video, I mean, the whole style has been practiced for years. It just finally made the transition to America in the mid-90s, thanks to Eric Bischoff. So any of you people don't know.
Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was the first one to bring Japanese stars. He brought in WCW.
He brought in a few, but Eric Bischoff also brought in a lot of Mexican stars too.
Bischoff brought in the Mexicans. Well, not actually. Yeah. Rey Mysterio got his start in ECW before WCW. Eddie, Benoit, Malenko, all ECW. All wrestled over in Japan and Mexico.
Yeah, but there was a lot of good stars that got
their start definitely.
They gave them the first mainstream exposure.
Well,
ECW was great, but it wasn't in the mainstream. Monday Nitro you can watch on TNT every Monday night, so I mean, you
can watch ECW every Saturday night at 1 in the morning. And I know there was a lot of people that watched it at 1 in the morning. I remember going to school on Monday and hearing, Dale, did you watch ECW Saturday?
Oh, I watched ECW plenty of times, but
I think the purpose of this video, this part of the topic, was leading into the Jerry Lynn RVD when they spoke about wrestling all over the world in ECW.
Yeah, well, they wrestled everywhere. I mean, these two guys definitely are pioneers of the style. I do have to agree, especially, you know, the American variation of the style, I should probably say. So, you know, it's basically hyping RVD and Lynn's match at Destination X. We're going to see, you know, the outcome of this whole thing is we're going to see a huge 4-way match next week. We're going to see Lynn, RVD, AJ, and Daniels, which is going to be phenomenal.
Yes, we have the X Division, the future of the X Division versus the past of the X Division. So it's basically, it keeps up with the tagline for, you know what, to be honest, if they were to make that the main event at Destination X, rather than Daniels AJ and have it RVD, Lynn.
Oh, that would be a fantastic event, but
because it would definitely be fast forward, it'd definitely be like a fast forward to the past, because you'd be honoring Lynn and RVD, who had, you know, great feuds in the 90s, and then hooking up with TNA's best in the X Division currently.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to those, seeing Lynn and RVD, due to us not being able to see that match at Hardcore Justice last year due to Lynn's injuries. But let's keep this thing moving. We see all those guys heading out. We see Gunner attack AJ Styles. That moves into their match. You know, it was supposed to be later on in the night. Basically, you know, said, let's start the match right now. You know, high points of the match that I really noticed was the huge dive by AJ Styles over the top rope onto Gunner. Yep, that was
vintage AJ.
That was phenomenal. And then at the end of the match, we see Gunner hit a huge move. I mean, very reminiscent of Brock Lesnar's F5.
Yes.
And Hebner really reluctantly counted the 3, but there was some controversy in this match.
Yeah, because
I want to touch on that.
Yeah, because AJ had.
It is summertime out here in Connecticut. Yeah. The bugs are killer, man.
AJ was definitely getting ready to set Gunner up for some kind of offensive move. I think one of the fans were chanting spiral tap, and I think that's what AJ was attempting to go for. Unfortunately, as Gunner got up, I think AJ was going to vary it into the flying elbow, but Gunner pulled Hebner in, and that's the reason why he didn't. I think Hebner refused to was hesitant to count the 3.
Hesitant, yeah. I mean, he didn't refuse. He did do it, but he sure didn't want to. And it was a slow 3. And
I think he was given time for AJ to kind of recover, but he didn't.
Yeah, trying to give AJ that extra minute there. This puts Gunner at the #1 spot on the leaderboard in the Bound for Glory series. He has 3 wins for a total of 21 points. And we still got some guys that have no points on the leaderboard, so it's going to be kind of interesting how this evolves in the next few weeks. It is nice, though, because even at house shows, these guys are earning points towards this series. So, I mean, as a fan, in the audience, usually, you'll see title matches and this, that, or the other, but these titles don't change hands. You're actually seeing something tangible. If this guy wins, he's actually getting the 7 points or the 10 points or, whatever it is. We move backstage into a Sting promo. Classic Sting. The whole, it's showtime, folks. Just a little short, less than 30 seconds, but just classic Sting. Remember in WCW used to hang in the back room with all the bats hanging down. I mean, just classic Sting. And then we move into hyping up the match next week. Velvet versus ODB and Jackie. It's going to be a 2-on-1 handicap match. If Velvet wins, ODB and Jackie are gone from TNA Wrestling.
Which I have a feeling that they're going to wind up winning and seeing them in TNA, because right now, there's a lot of knockouts that can deliver. I think the reason is they want to do something. They want to kind of bring back and harness some of the original knockouts from a couple of years ago. I mean, ODB was at the top of the X division along with like Roxy and Jackie.
Who's at the top of the X division?
Knockouts division.
You just said the
No, I said knockouts.
No, you said X division.
No, I said knockouts.
I can't wait to review this footage and it says X division.
And I can't wait to review this footage and it says knockouts.
When I'm cutting this footage tonight, I'm going to send them up that 2-second clip that says X division.
No, I said they were at the top of the knockouts.
It's okay. We've been talking about the X division all night. It's cool.
So
man.
anyway, we see we've seen ODB and Roxy at the top of the knockouts division, along with some of the others. And it was just really the knockouts division was definitely a lot better then than it was now, because I mean there was just so much more, because it was very rare you saw knockouts title matches. Now it's like every pay-per-view you're seeing a knockouts title defense. So it was like. And it's always, some, kind of crummy booked finish or a botchy booked finish.
Well, you know what? And this is my opinion on it. I think that the women deserve just as much of a chance as the men to shine. Yeah, they have a smaller division. Yeah, they might not be able to do as much as the men can do.
Oh, but I'm not saying I'm not discrediting them. I'm just saying that the knockouts division a couple of years ago was a lot more interesting than it is now.
It was. I think we saw.
I mean, you had Taylor Wilde, you had ODB, you had Roxy.
It was a lot different division, but I think there's some great stars.
You had the original beautiful people running rampant.
Yeah, but
Velvet and Angelina.
Yeah, but now you got the match we saw earlier. There were 6 great stars in it. But it's going to be interesting how this plays out. Either ODB and Jackie will be around to stay, which the deck is stacked in their favor. So, like JC said, I kind of see that happening. But we move into the next segment of the night. We see Mexican America come out. They're starting to cut a promo. They really don't get too far into it. We see the British Invasion come out. They say, basically they're proud to be here in the U.S.
Which is I've looked into it, and it is tonight's promo with Mexican America is turning British Invasion face.
Yeah, it is a face turn. I mean, it was an obvious face turn. If you read the internet news sites, if they were planning it or not. They came out. Mexican America is the evil guys that hate America and they're trying to take over. And then we got the British Invasion. They're foreigners as well. They admitted it, but they're willing to accept the culture here. They like being here, and basically evolves into Brutus calling Rosita a prostitute. Well, Sarita and Rosita prostitute, saying don't bring them when we have our match. Rosita then spits in Magnus' face, slaps him, and we see Hernandez and Anarquia attack. Now they have the upper hand, and then we see the Freak Rob Terry come out. And if you guys know, when the British Invasion first formed, it was those 3 guys.
Yes.
I mean, which was kind of evolved from World Elite, if I'm not. Yeah. If I remember.
Oh no, British Invasion was before World Elite.
Yeah, and then it kind of and then involved. I'm trying to remember my TNA history. So after all that, we move into a promo with Jeff Jarrett in Mexico, saying he will be back in another week. He is the AAA heavyweight champion down there. He won it by beating, I think it was Zorro.
I got you.
Off the top of my head. Then, backstage we see Bully Ray calling the shots yet again. I mean, who made him head honcho? I would think with bringing in Steiner and having more credibility, why would Bully Ray be the one counting the shots? Steiner's the main event player, but that's alright. You know, Bully Ray says, hey, me and Abyss, let's go down to the ring. Abyss's mask is missing. I have a feeling it was taken by Kendrick. We're going to see Steiner versus Sting. I did agree with Taz in the statement that I was just making a second ago, where Taz said Immortal did gain credibility with Steiner joining. They actually have a main event player. It's not just a bunch of mid-card guys at this point. They have a main event player.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying Hogan ain't main event, but he's not in a wrestling role.
Yeah, he's not the wrestling. He's in
a managerial role.
Yeah.
You know, and
he's a leader, but he's not in the ring like he was with the NWO.
Exactly. You know, we see a pretty good match. Sting did pick up the win.
Yes.
We did see a face paint attempt by Sting on Scotty Steiner. Bully Ray comes out. He almost gets face painted in the corner.
Yes.
We see Anderson comes out. He drops Sting with a low blow and then hits him with a mic check. We see Steiner and Bully Ray, beat down on Sting. Hogan comes down to get revenge on Sting, and we see Angle's music hit, and Angle comes out and makes the save, and basically the show closes with Hogan saying, Angle, you crossed the line. TNA's tagline from many years past.
Yes. You know, overall, TNA was interesting tonight. You know, there was a lot of wrestling.
I did enjoy the 2-hour show.
Yeah. It was a little bit different to see them go less commercials and a little bit more wrestling. They dialed back on the promos tonight, and with the exception of the major one at the beginning of the show. And then, you know, I kind of would like to see that more often, where they limit themselves in the beginning of the show to promos, and then the rest of the show is all wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, but I do have to agree. I mean, it is...
With the exception of, like, the 5-minute promo that they had with the Mexican-American British Invasion.
Yeah, but, you know, promos are part of what builds matches, and we need promos to build a story. And, you know, some fans like us prefer the more in-ring aspect. There's some fans that, you know, enjoy the more entertainment aspect, the promos, the talking, the stories.
Well, TNA's tagline's why wrestling matters.
Wrestling matters, but in the current day of wrestling, a lot of things go into it. And it's not just the in-ring, it's everything that builds that match that makes it great. If there's not a good story, sometimes you're not going to have a good match.
Sometimes a crummy story still can have a good match.
Sure.
I remember countless matches.
But sometimes no story can have a great match. I mean, there's tons of outcomes, but it's nice when you have a great story building into a match. You know, like the Angle Jarrett thing. Yeah, I got a little stale after a while, but the story building into that was so heated, and there was so much backstory, and they used some of the real life situation. I mean, it made that contest so much better. Like when they built, you know, the crossover to WWE for a second, when they built Undertaker versus Triple H this year. And, you know, Shawn Michaels is like, you can't beat him. And, you know, just that story that was told in those few words, I mean, is what made that much more to the match. But we are going to wrap this up for tonight. Yes. For Rapping True Wrestling, Brian Crazy,
JC Styles.